What up? Hey, what's up, Cup? Hey, man, good hearing from you and seeing from you. Hey, congratulations on your recent birthday, too, bro. Yeah. I'm doing a pilot right now. Trying to do some development with this thing. So, like right now, I'm recording the audio and doing some video and stuff, obviously. And then I'm gonna put this on my YouTube page. Should have put the link in here. I ain't got a chance to do it. Yeah. I got a little audio. I had to invest in myself, man. So yeah, I want to do this the right way. It took a little time off. I've been busy like everybody else, man. You know, trying to organize meetings. Uh, doing the ugly sweater kickback that we're gonna have at my house this weekend. What else? Property stuff. It's just been busy, man. It's kind of hard to stay consistent, but that's one thing I'm working on anyway. So, Leah, what's up? Miss Trina, Big Jarvis Ford, what's going on, bro? Hey, we got enough people here. What y'all want to talk about? I got some stuff I want to discuss, but what y'all want to talk about too? Try to get all that in before I get to my list. What's new in y'all life? Hey, what's going on, Travio? Hey, congratulations on your recent business moves too. Salute to all entrepreneurs, business owners, future CEOs and stuff. If y'all see me look at the TV every now and then or look away, I'm looking at a little bit of that Alabama football. Big Mac, what's going on, bro? All right, so let's see here. Let me turn this down. Okay. Hey, can y'all hear my music? Because it's just in my headphones. Just making sure. Troy, what's good? So let's see here. A couple days ago, I had a thread on my page that was talking about is college worth the investment to go, and are we missing some things by not having enough entrepreneurs? So, hey, mama, hey y'all be nice. My mama in the chat line, she watching, so don't talk to me crazy. But yeah, we talked about college and pursuing entrepreneurship because I feel like we need more black owners now so we can hire each other. The same strategy all the other nationalities have with each other. And I talked to a few friends that own businesses up north, and one of my friends said that that he had a couple of guys that were owners of Dunkin' Donuts, and what they do is they buy each one of them. I don't care if they put them on two corners, three corners away from each other. They buy them all till they own the area, and then they start bringing their own people. You know what I'm saying? So they can hire them and keeping it within. Well, I think we need to do the same thing, but the only path to that is I feel like we need more young black entrepreneurs given a chance to be at ownership if they're not convinced that school is for them. Because I don't think everybody needs to go to college. I mean, you can't have a whole bunch of super educated folks with no skills. You're going to reach a certain capacity where there's a lot of things that you can't do or finish. So when I asked the question, a lot of people that took offense to it, I don't doubt that they were coming from a good place. And I want them to understand that I am not saying that we do not need college educated people. I'm just saying that if we're not certain about a particular student's capability to go to college, be a good student, why spend the money on that? Why not invest five to $7,000 in buying lawn equipment, getting them set up with the right paperwork and insurance and stuff like that, and teach that if you might be passionate at something at a young age, and it may hang with you for a long time. But like I know as most of us have gone to school, finished, and now you're not even doing anything remotely comparable to what you went to school for. So I'm just saying that a lot of times you spend 4 years trying to find that out, and now you got 40 years worth of debt. So we just got to make sure that we're not, cutting off all of our options too quickly just because of what it looks like and what it sounds like. Not going to college or not going into a trade, like there's no mistake in either. What I'm saying is that we are farming students at some point. And by farming students, all you're doing is going to have a saturated market of people that, like I said, they won't have the skills. You know what I'm saying? That we require certain professions to have. So, what are y'all thoughts on that? Let me see if I can bring somebody on. Can you bring somebody on? What we got? So let me see what's in the comments. Yeah, I guess it might be a little delay too. Yeah, investment and return ratio. Absolutely, man. Like, yeah, I know it's got to be a cost analysis associated with, what your particular study would be if you went to college, and the the major course of action after you finish school. Like, what's the high probability of you working directly into your field at the level that you think you want to do versus what's actually going to happen. And but again, if you're still in that window of trying to figure it out, if we had enough Black entrepreneurs, may be able to change, the employment options. We can create our own internships, So I'm just saying there's got to be some balance between the two. And some people do go to college as a full-time job at some point. Like, all they do is go to college. Like, anybody got one of those friends, every time you talk to them, they going after another degree. Like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. They completed multiple degrees, but I'm saying, how many degrees are there that certain people have to accomplish before we say that's enough school? We need you to take what you learned in school and translate that into, like, our communities. So, because, like, we'll never have enough Black lawyers. We'll never have enough Black judges. We'll never have enough Black educated police officers and intermediaries that, help our communities remain safe, or whatever considered to be livable communities. So we still have to have people that go to college in order to be administrators and stuff like that. And sometimes, though, again, we're talking about saturation. Everybody run off to college and everybody don't have a job to run to. And then it's just saturated. Yeah, it's performance based too. Yeah, and I like that. Hey, Kevin, I like that you said schooling, because schooling is not the same. Well, like, going to school and getting educated in school is not the same as learning on your own. Schools don't they set them up to pass curriculum so you can operate in American society and just be a normal tax-paying citizen. They have to give you that much. I guess that's the criteria for whatever group of people determine that. But, like, learning is what you do on your own when you're not forced. It's not part of your job description. There's no motivation behind it other than just to know for yourself. Yeah. Hey, Joe. Hey, what's good, man? Joe says passion has to drive your investment. Otherwise, it could be a waste unless it's a highly demanded material. I think the key word you used on that one, Joe, was passion. And that's one thing that people have a struggle with, I think, over time. Like, I don't know very many people that are, that can list their passions to the point where they're that committed to it. A lot of people are just now discovering their passions or creating a passion, for something. Me, I think my passion, I don't have it in one thing. But I mean, like, I'll be 40 in February and I'm just now discovering that, So going to college I don't know if that's a path I don't I don't think you can determine a student's passion at 17, 18, or 19 and expect it to be that constant, depending on what it is. And I think circumstances change what you're passionate about. There's too many different variables. So for me, using myself as an example, I'd say I have multiple passions. Like right now I'm definitely in the real estate and doing the rental landlord thing. You know what I'm saying? And doing my part so I could try to add back to my community, because I rent to me. I rent to people that look like me, rather than them go rent from someone that's not going to take care of them. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't look like me. So that's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about representation. I'm passionate about writing on social issues, and like the dichotomy associated with it. But I didn't form that into an absolute passion in that like in the last 6 months. That came from a long time of just doing, living life and working elsewhere in places that was undesirable. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's kind of rough to pinpoint a young college student, high school graduate's passion right off the bat and expect it to be the same, 5 to 6 years from that moment. It might not even be the same 6 months from that time. So, man, I appreciate that, Travio. Appreciate that. I do the best I can. I try to stay on top of things. That's my responsibility, and that's my passion. So, let's see. We're gonna talk next. Hey, a lot of people that's probably in the timeline, they're either from Alabama, specifically Birmingham, because those are my people down there, and a lot of folks local here in Texas, and folks from Atlanta, because I got family like that too. Hey, bro. Hey, we're gonna come back to that with Chicken Joe. Hey, okay, cool. I guess still got some questions. Hey, Bree. So my tenants, right? I live in a small community, and so when I hear a name, I can run it through a couple of different places. You know what I'm saying? To find out if they, have bad or whatever their standing is, and if it'll be a wise decision. That's one layer to how I rent to my tenants, and generally speaking, most times my tenants come from referrals. I usually have friends that hit me up and say they know somebody that they would recommend me. So I think the referral of a friend goes a whole lot farther for me based on what I'm doing right now. I'm not on a big scale like I own a hotel or a multi-unit property or whatever, but like nothing that's beyond my management ability. But generally speaking, I think I can, I've been pretty good about picking my tenants. I've only had one that I had to evict, and that's a whole kind of story right there. I should have went live by it when it happened. Hey, Sharon, what's good, bro? Yeah. Hey, Veronica, what's up? Yeah, Chip, we know you out there boxing, putting hands on folks, man. Eddie, the only way that you can fit on the screen is in text. Don't tell me to stand up. Oh, my bad. I read that wrong. Boy, I'm about to get at you. Man, um, hey, Joe, that's just discernment over time, man. It's just, you gotta try and you know what I'm saying, you gotta just read it the right way. I will say this: if you're a landlord and you are doing bad financially, you'll make some desperate decisions about like choosing the wrong tenant, because all you'll see is the dollar sign. You don't want to be out here like a, what I'm saying, like a stray dog and just willing to, what I'm saying, take everything, Um, so with that being said, I rent to black people, what I'm saying, that they come to me or whatever. But I'm not opposed. Like I will rent to a white lady, you know what I'm saying, or a white guy if their funds are correct. But I generally try to give, what I'm saying, people of color, what I'm saying, the reasonable doubt to not betray my trust. So like I said, being burnt by a tenant is I haven't ran into a situation where I got burnt by a tenant. I ran into a situation though where one tenant, I evicted her 2 months in because I mean, me and her attitude just wasn't gonna work out. You know what I'm saying? She was in one situation, and I was very empathetic and sympathetic to it. And then later on, found out to be all scruff. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, when you make a mistake, the luxury of making a mistake is that you don't have to keep it just because you made it. So yeah. So you say you had a realtor then and had to fire them and ended up being burnt. You mean you had a property, you was using them for property management or something? Um, because yeah, Travia, firsthand, bro. Firsthand. I don't know if she's the same. It might be. Hey, you could. Hey, my number the same too, bro. You hit me up and we'll chop it up. I don't think it was the same person though. Yeah. So, I mean, bro, I ain't got no problem with getting rid of anybody. Like this chick called me sorry. She called me sorry. When I tell you, I wore that for a second, and I won't. I don't. I mean, I gave her air mattress. You know what I'm saying? She was in that bad of a situation, bro. And then she called me sorry. I was like, I had, I let me go to bed with that. Let me think about that. And then I woke up the next day and I went to get my hair cut, and some people that know the same folks was like, yeah, she like that all the time. And then I was like, oh, this is gonna be too easy. And then because in my gut, I knew what was about to happen. I knew I was gonna wind up, telling her she need to exit the premises and give her 14. Actually, I think I gave her 14 days. Bro, how you look? Never let nobody slide, bro. I don't let nobody slide. I'll flex with them, but not slide. No. So anyway, I went down and found the information I needed to do a proper eviction, and she was rather difficult, to needless to say. But the thing is, though, I made that decision to get rid of because I made the mistake, and now I learned from it, though. So, and ironically, the only time I've ever advertised for a tenant with a sign since 2009, that was what I did then. That's the one thing I generally don't have to do because my gut instinct through my network of people and my relationships that I've established here have all proven, quality network connections. Because when they call me and tell me they got somebody that need a place, they generally have thought of them pretty well. They know how to respond to it. And, so I've been running off that first person checklist and credit running system. Yeah. So, Andrea, what's up? What kind of fantastic knowledge you got to drop off today too? Because you always got something. So, um, so I know all you guys have been aware of the Galleria shooting that happened in Hoover, Alabama. It's a few miles outside the city of Birmingham, and right now it's been on a heavy protest because EJ was shot and he was hit 3 times from behind. Since the published autopsy has been in the media cycle, and at current, there's been a lot of protests taking place in Birmingham and specifically Hoover, and I've seen some of the chatter on social media about it. I don't know the extent in its entirety of everything that I've seen, when it comes to what's going on in the city, because I'm not there, but I got friends that still live there and they tell me what's going on. And the same trend that I've seen among the people that have had some input on it are mostly indifferent from the people that I talk to. Like when I say that, I mean, like we're talking about guys that's in age range 35 to 45 years old. And some folks are asking simple questions like, what does winning look like with the protests? Okay. I don't know. I don't know what's going to change, you know, with this particular situation, nor am I saying that to bash people that choose to protest. I mean, everybody's got their method. Some of us feel like we are more effective having conversations like this, while some of us feel like we're more effective being on the front lines of uh, in close proximity to law enforcement, who in this situation was pretty negligent. They'll make up anything, even with footage to justify them killing you. They'll make you responsible for your own murder. So what I'm saying is that I'd like to get a better understanding of like who is delivering this message, you know, speaking on behalf of um, speaking on behalf of the upset people of the city, who are dealing with this. Because from what I've seen, the person that's delivering the message, I don't even know his name, and I hadn't committed it to name. But I feel like you got to be careful who carrying your message. Who is who is your courier, so they don't misconstrue it. They don't create another obstacle that you have to navigate because of the messenger that you chose. So of course we've always seen, like any leader of anything, become corrupt, become motivated by power and visibility rather than the actual cause. um Man, so we just have to be, mindful of who's carrying that message, though. Um, so let me read some of the comments. What you got, Kevin? People are demanding that this video for the public, but don't get it that it's evidence and it can't. Correct, man. Look, that's a very valid point right there. So when we talk about who's qualified to carry the message, Kevin, pointed out this is an ongoing investigation in so many words. I'm paraphrasing, and it's going to be released at at a certain discretion once certain benchmarks are met in the investigation. I even read a statement that said, they were going to keep us updated on the investigation on a week-to-week basis by releasing whatever that they made known and whatever discovery that they have. So I'm saying that I get the feeling that the public doesn't know this. Now, I do like some of the tactics that were used by the family. And I hate to say tactics because in this situation, they're just responding. And they're on the offensive for the right reasons. But when they got that autopsy done and they made it public, and then they took the initiative and had the media narrative at that point. Now, what people did after that is drown the narrative shift that they had. You know what I'm saying? So now we get more visibility on the protesters in some of what they're protesting, and none of the right attention is in the right direction right now. It's a lot of valid but misplaced energy, so which goes back to there's layers to how we got to deal with things, because ultimately human beings are how they deal with their problems. And if you're not careful on who's scripting the narrative based on the ammo that you're providing, you will be written out of history, out of the context of being normal, reasonable human beings, and again, this is not to bash anyone that protests in the manner that's been acceptable as traditional public outrage. But this is about making sure that in your protest that your narrative is being communicated, is being proofread the right way, is being published the right way. And sometimes I think that some of our efforts, although are important and meaningful, we use too much emotion instead of being rational. I don't think you can do anything great unless you take it personal to some degree. But you could take something personal and still handle it with precision when it's time to. You can use that same energy to execute in that manner too. Yep, money is the ultimate protest. My cousin posted one day. She said she protesting with her pockets, and what else is there to talk about? You know what I'm saying? Protest with your pockets. So let's see here. Yep, straight up rinse and repeat. Um, Man, what else? What else I got to say about that whole situation if you've been following it? We'll come back. I'll check what's in the comment threads in a second though, man. I just want to get down this list. And since we are already on the topic of what sparked the civil unrest and the protests in Hoover, Alabama, we got to talk about surviving contact, man. You know, surviving contact with law enforcement. Um, we no, let me say it like this: no human being is without risk in terms of dealing with law enforcement. Then after that, there's certain levels to who is more susceptible to being targeted with deadly force by law enforcement. And we all know that's strictly on ethnicity, geography, and ethnicities of both the law enforcement or the actual target of law enforcement. But what we do is we take the energy from that protest that's ongoing in Hoover, and we turn that into a spearheaded campaign that's almost no different than any recruiting campaign to take the anger that we've been given, the hate they gave, and turn it into misdirected. No, I want to say misdirected. Inaccurate, inaccurate uses of that energy, meaning that we try to fight systemic problems with the same intensity that our ancestors did, which is great. But now we're giving it to less red people. See, the thing is, during the civil rights movement and whether it be Malcolm X's opposition to white supremacy or Martin Luther King's, there has always been more red people or people that are slower to react for the right reasons, solely based on survival and their need to, preserve self, their need to get back home because people are depending on them to make conscious and decisions that they don't have to regret. Now, when you think about that, the energy coming from those protests are emboldening people who I would venture to say, are not nearly as red on some of the issue as there are people that are just motivated to do something in response to another bag of emotions that's been handed to them through the same or similar situations with negligent law enforcement and how they treat Black people. But there's my wife. And I was about to take one of her phrases and I saw her name show up. What's up, baby? So she loves saying shiny pennies. The shiny penny community is represented by people that just speak out of anger, and that's on one extreme, and then there's a detriment of education on the opposite end. Not whether or not they're book smart or street smart or they're just not tactically smart. Everything has to be an operation to some degree in the society in which we live based on our place in it. So with that being said, are we arming people with enough game, wisdom to think about just surviving contact with the police first? Because you're not going to win in the confrontation because they come with the initiative. They come with the intent and hope that you might be violent enough or, belligerent enough to give them a reason to kill a nigga that day. It's kind of rough to think about, man, but it's the truth. When they get up in the morning, put their pants on just like you, they're faced with the same issues that you got at home, probably. You know what I'm saying? Things not going well with your wife or your husband, kids doing, terrible in school. Mom and dad got physical issues. They're getting older. You behind on college tuition for your kid that can't figure out what they want to be. And they bring all that to work, but they get to carry a gun and they get to use their calamity of a personal life, as the reason why they felt that their lives was in danger. So when you think about that, and with them not facing an equitable amount of repercussions in the legal system or reprisal from anything, we got to make sure that the people that's using all this misguided anger, that guy that's got toting that gun and that badge doesn't care about how upset you are. They got all of these problems on the job with multiple personalities that they would come in contact with, and still the same pressures as you at home. And I'm not saying that gives them a right. I'm just telling you that that's what they come to work with, on top of hoping that they actually get a collar, on top of hoping that they actually get to shoot somebody, on top of hoping they get to pummel somebody because they need to release some stress. So your bad day as a civilian that's protesting or whatever is rooted in being told you have to leave, or at that particular moment in time. And it could be a whole host of other pent up energies. And the protest, gives you a reason for that. But on the other side of that, everything that I just named for you, times the fact that police are paranoid and whatever they got going on based on what they do to other people too, it's just a nervous trigger squeeze away from killing you and getting off about it. So my point is that through the mixture of who's carrying our messages, like we're talking about that guy, I think his name Carlos or something like that, that's going all in and inciting a lot of misdirected people. Is that the voice that helps us survive contact with the police, knowing that they're probably even more on edge because one of their cops, is the cause of this whole thing, or is part of the cause of this whole thing, even though that their solution was deadly force first and their stories changed multiple times? Is that the contact that we're preparing? I mean, is that what we're putting into providing people with skills to survive contact? We can't let our people run around trying to make decisions with emotions, with people with guns. It's just not gonna work. It's just not the recipe for success or survival. So let me know what y'all think about that. Yeah. Hey, Rep, we got to carry our own message, man. That's why I say reclaim the narrative up there in the caption, and that applies to this whole conversation. Let's see here. Don't shoot all the cats first. What you got right here? Right. Don't shoot all the black people and then question the white guys with long black coats and butt stocks hanging from underneath. Bruh, I know you know. Let's see. We have to refuse to allow it to be easy for them to shoot us like dogs in the street. Right. And Joe, you get it. Like we got what's understood between a lot of us don't need to be said. But I like it when you guys spell things out, because some people won't have the time to watch the whole video, but there's always a lot of great stuff in the comments of most threads. Matter of fact, that's why most of us are part of the Comment Reading Association. It's kind of like the NRA, but it's the CRA. Because that's where I get my details from on some things. Yes. Yeah, our image, definitely. Yeah, like all of that. You can't let them write our story, man. You know, and we need to proofread whatever they write about us. So I think I'm gonna skip down to the Meek Mill album in a minute, and then come back to the college football playoffs. But in the meantime, hey, y'all see them links in that caption right there? You see the one that say paperback and the other one say Kindle? Those are links to my book, and it's available on Amazon. I'm gonna go ahead and plug myself. So yeah, we got a lot to fix as a whole, you know. But you read my book, you'll realize that all black people ain't gonna make it. It just ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Some people are more invested elsewhere. So hang on a second. Hey, what's up, Sid? You know what you want to say? You mind if I put you on speaker? I'm on live right now. All right, hang on. Yo, say it.
Yeah.
So
you know I work with these fresh out niggas,
right? Hey, in case y'all, hey, look, right now, my brother said is on the mic right now. I got him on speakerphone. You know, he called me and I always catch me when I got my hands tied up with something, or the, you know, like I might have some hot wings. He might call me or whatever. So sending 13 text messages and he called me and interrupted games. But I'm always happy to hear from him. And hey, look, my brother, one of the best storytellers ever, too. I'm putting him on the spot right now because I know he was about to call me with some fire. So you got great timing. But so without further ado, I give y'all say it.
Oh, so check this out. You know I work with these fresh out niggas, right?
Yeah.
So big people, this is my PSA. Big humongous niggas that go to the gym and lift weights for a living, or lift weights for sport, or lift weights just because, or have absolutely no business pulling up on the nigga that
don't. What you mean, man?
So these two been at it all night at work. One of them big, one of them small. Small nigga ain't saying nothing. Big nigga keep trying to intimidate them. So they went to break. They went across the street to the store where get food and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Big nigga said, you know, big nigga, we ain't at work now. Little nigga put one in their leg and ran.
What?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, at work?
Yeah. I told you it's fresh out.
Wait a minute. So somebody took one in the leg at work, said. Somebody shot somebody in the leg?
Across the street, technically across the street at the gas station with a food at. They put one in the knee.
Bruh.
Big nigga was screaming. Big nigga was screaming. Big nigga hollered. I was like, damn, big nigga. Damn, big nigga.
Hey, this is the type of, hey,
bro,
look.
He broke big nigga down quick, dog. That nigga ran through the woods.
Boy, you stupid. Hey, man, what else been going on, man? What you want to talk to the people about, bro? What else they need to know?
Shit, I don't even know. I just go to work and go home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Trying to stay alive and make some money, man. That's it.
Yeah, I heard that, man. Hey, the next time I go live, man, I'm gonna hit you up and so you can tell me.
Yeah, give me a notification. I'll be more prepared.
Yeah. I had to put you on the spot, man. You know.
Well, the ambulance I'm gonna go finish looking at this. This is pretty entertaining.
Wait a minute. This still ongoing. That's why you outside right now?
Yeah, that's why I'm laughing. This is funny. Shit ridiculous.
You made it sound like it happened like a while ago or something.
This is like recent. I was like, damn, my brother got hit this shit.
Hey, live reporting. Hey, live at work reporting folks getting shot on the job, you know, at the gas station. You know what I'm saying? That's my brother, Big Said. Y'all holla at you.
All right, man. I'm gonna get with you.
Word.
Yeah.
Oh man, hey, when I tell you every time he called me, he got a story, and yo, he A1 with it every time. I might need to call my cousin too, because he keeps something going on too, but I might be putting him on the spot. But matter of fact, I want to talk to him about that Meek Mill album, so I'm finna hit him up too and see what he got to say. Mm. Mm. I hit him back later. So yeah, hey, we could do that. Hey, Brian, hey, I got a whole nother mic in here too. You know what I'm saying? You can sit down, come in and chop it up. And then we just discuss and stay on live, man, and go from there. Meek has the album of the year. Okay. All right. We'll see about that. So let's see here. Hey, so on the Meek Mill album, right? I watched Joe Budden's podcast on it. After I had listened to the album and after I had talked to my cousin about it. I mean, yeah, that's it. So like Joe Budden's podcast was like maybe the fourth thing on my list after I listened to the album. And I'm not one thing I can say about this album is great. Number one, it is one of the best albums, that came out in the last maybe 3 years or so. I wasn't, and I'm still not an all on board super Meek Mill fan, but I bought his album number one because the man went through a lot after everybody, what I'm saying, was on his neck about the whole Drake thing and all the little memes and that fake beef and all that stuff. Meek still had some points where, what I'm saying, he was all the way 100 with what he was talking about. Like people just didn't like the messenger, what, or they wanted to protect the target of the message. Because what Meek said later came to be, what I'm saying, same thing that Joe Budden felt about Drake and all those other different beefs and stuff. So people were rooting against Meek for the sake of preserving their fanhood to Drake and stuff. I just thought the thing was funny. It was like a timeline gone bad. But I bought his album because, that man had been through a lot. He'd been running around with, 15 years probation for something he did when he was 13 or 14. It might be younger than that. But, without all of the numbers and stuff, if you've heard anything about his situation and stuff, you'd understand why it's cool to go out and buy his album, regardless if you didn't like him before. I want to see the man win. He's been winning and keep winning. He ain't got to necessarily make music that I like every time to, to still get my support. But anyway, about the album. So again, I'm not a huge Meek Mill fan like that at all. But this album was great. And from the opener where you got the Phil Collins samples, like he just got dope samples all over it. But it was groundbreaking though, because like I think it made a lot of guys that's like in my age bracket that still listen to rap or whatever, go back and say, let me check this out. Because I don't know a whole lot of people that's in my age bracket that are huge Meek Mill fans. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Sherm, I saw something about the interview, but I didn't watch it yet. I'll probably go back and check it. I try to stay away from stuff that's going to make me facepalm, So Meek's album opens up with the Phil Collins sample. I don't have a track list in front of me, man, but it might be 2 or 3 songs that I skipped on the album. I didn't like the joint that he had with Fab, because I like Fab more than I like Meek, and I just didn't like the song and didn't think it was a good fit. I listened to the joint he got with Cardi B, but not enough. I heard great talk about it and stuff. Hang on a second. Who we got? Yo, what's up, bro?
What's up, brother?
Chilling, man. I got you on live right now, man. I'm gonna let you talk.
I haven't listened to the album, but I have been following what's been going on with me, and it seemed like he chose to take a political stand. in his career, which is a good thing if it's righteous. If it's righteous, if it's to sell records, that's where it becomes a problem for me. Which I can't say that. You know, I don't know what's going on in his head.
Man, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, if it's righteous, I'm with it because that means you're standing for something in the industry, especially nowadays that really doesn't want to stand for anything. You know, they preach against that, especially with the big names and being with the big labels. They're like, well, you don't want to use your fan base. You know, you stand, you go left, you go right. You know, you're gonna lose people, and you know, because it's all about numbers. But I think what he's doing, if it's right, like I said, I'm with him. I'm not a big Meek Mill fan.
Yeah. You know? But man, his project was dope though.
I heard it. Like you said, it does make people like me be like, well, let me go check it out. Let me give it a chance.
Right.
But because of that,
yeah,
you know,
it's gotta come from the right person, bro. It's like if like I ain't no huge Migos fan, but a few of my friends, they listen to it and I can see why they like it. You know what I'm saying? I don't look at it like, okay, yeah, it's not necessarily what I want to listen to all the time, but there ain't no issue with that. Y'all see my dog Polo just show up? What you want, bro? You got to go outside? What's up?
Yeah, I'm what you call it. Here's how I categorize music listeners.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
I gotta let the dog out.
Okay. You got your hip hop heads, and then you got your top 20 listeners. Your top 20 listeners, they're only gonna listen to what's on the radio, who's everybody talking to, you know, who's everybody, you know, riding around in their car listening to. Those are your top 20 listeners in my book. Then you have those hip hop heads who are gonna listen to people like Hopsin and the Tech Nines and the Logics, you know, stuff like that. You know, cats who aren't on that big, humongous platform of superstardom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who might have something to say and go against the status quo of what hip hop is today. You know, or what they're trying to make it anyway.
Right.
You know, and we're all. I think we're all hypocrites to a certain point when it comes to music.
Yeah.
Because when we were coming up, man, we listened to Bull.
Bro, we had DOS effects. You know what I'm saying? Bump, skippity, bump.
Is this PG? Yeah. Can I say what I want to say? Or?
Yeah, no, you say what you want to say, bro.
Okay, we listen to bullshit.
Yeah.
We listen to straight bullshit.
Bro,
so,
hey, my man, look, Timberland Magoo was trash.
Timberland and fucking Magoo, bro.
Trash. Extra trash, bro. Timberland and Magoo.
But we loved it.
That boy said, I bump like acne.
Hey, you know, we was listening.
Bro, he said, I bump like agony.
Exactly, bro. It was trash, but we were loving this shit.
Yeah.
The generation before us was saying, you know, man, what the fuck is y'all listening to these young?
Yeah, every generation is talked down on the last generation, man. You know what I'm saying? Bro.
That's why I try to have an ear for, like you know, I'll give Migos a chance. I'll give the Rich Homie Quans a chance to see if they have something of substance. I'm not going to automatically count them out, you know, just because. But that was just my 2 cents, bro.
Man, yo, I appreciate that. I start calling people more. I don't know if they got that kind of time.
Out the real. So, you know it's love, fam. Keep doing your thing, bro.
Yes, sir. Hey, I'm about to go let the dog back in, man. He outside in the cold.
Oh, man. Yeah, don't do that.
I got to go let him in, man.
All right, fam.
Yep. Hey, I'll be back. Hang on. Hey, I'm gonna just go ahead and text y'all my number, man, and give me a call. I'm finna call. Hey, Sherm, you there? I'm about to give you a call, bro. Or you can call in. Let's see here. Bro, you talking,
Yeah, what's up?
bro, you talking on a CB or something, man?
Say that again?
You sound like you was talking on a truck radio or CB or something for a second.
Man, I had switched that thing between my airplay over the car and speakerphone and some other stuff, man. I have stuff going on.
Man, hey, I'm glad I caught you, man. I'm online right now. And so I saw you had a lot of good questions, man, and I can't get through it in the you know what I'm saying, in the scroll or whatever, in the chat. So, like, can you run some of the questions back that you was asking not too long ago?
So one question that I had, I saw somebody mention that I think they had a quote where they said they'll sue the state, they'll sue the family will take the money, rinse, repeat. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's held accountable. So my question was, what's the alternative if the family sues the city for all of these police shootings? What's the likely outcome if they do not settle out of court? Like, is anybody going to be held accountable, or is it that they just going to get more money if they don't settle out of court? You know what I'm saying? Because it bothers me that these people are dying and getting killed by police officers,
and they settling for like a small amount compared to.
I mean, they're settling for a small amount, but you know, consider where some of these people are coming from. $1.5 million ain't a small amount.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a small amount for somebody's life.
Yep.
But if your entire family savings and worth is, you know, $50,000 and you owe that on Chevy Tahoe from 1997, that 1.5 million is a guap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think. Yeah. But like, so everybody is listening, because I got you on speakerphone and you know what I'm saying, you're on live, like I said, right? So for everybody that's listening that's not understanding where he's coming from, we're talking about the protests and the social injustice in Hoover, Alabama. And we're talking about that mixed in with the whole police brutality discussion that seems to never end. It's part of the culture. But yeah, he's talking about people taking a settlement, but what about the accountability of the officer? You know what I'm saying? So like, you take a huge settlement, cool, that doesn't make it better. The person that's dead isn't alive anymore. They may or may not fire the officer or reduce that officer's credentials enough to where they can't go get another job. We have yet to see that. We saw when Terrence Crutcher was killed, they later on promoted that chick, Betsy, got off a desk job, and she was teaching how to survive, teaching other officers how to survive deadly contact. And I think that after the media reported it, and you know, and it hit social media, that they had to do something about that. And but nonetheless, Terrence Crutcher is still dead. This lady got, and he was convicted of his own murder, like I mentioned, you know what I'm saying, previously, in another you know, point of the conversation that we're having now. But like, I don't know, man. I don't know where it goes. I don't know how you get accountability resulting in actual punishment and equitable punishment at that. Because we're not talking about no fines and no civil suits and stuff like that, you know, because we've seen where the civil suit goes to a trial and the officer gets convicted of violating somebody's civil rights or something to that degree, whatever terminology they like to use. They never call it murder, though. You know what I'm saying? They never, you know, offer full, you know, like accountability of it. Not in this justice system, you know what I'm saying, that's built to protect white people anyway. So
correct. Well, can I touch on a couple of points?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
All right, number one of the solutions that I see to a lot of this police brutality would be, and it would involve making the police salaries a little bit greater than what they already are, $2,000 to $4,000, maybe $6,000 more than what they're currently getting paid. But I think that they should be forced to have their own liable insurance policy like a contractor. That way, when they do,
like
if
prepaid
they
legal,
find themselves in a situation. Say again?
kind of like a prepaid legal or something like that.
No, not even prepaid legal. This is like bonding insurance. So, like, let's say you hire a contractor to work on your house.
Mm-hmm.
Those contractors, they have to have their own insurance.
Yes.
Against against suit.
Gotcha.
So let's say you have a contractor and you know he built a house for you and you fall through the floor, you sue him. Guess what happens? That goes on his record and that goes against his insurance.
Right.
So his insurance premium goes up, and eventually, if he has too many times where customers got to sue him for negligence or whatever the case may be, it's going to be harder and harder and harder for him to get bonded. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the solutions to this police brutality, and it'll be better it'll be financially equitable for the state because right now, or the cities and the parishes of the officers, because number one, these police precincts, when that state or city settle, that comes from their budget, which ends up coming from the taxpayers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there was a whole lot of leaks. Like I read one story recently where it says that when they settle with, like say Terrence Crusher, they got sued, they settled for 1.5, whatever case may be. Where does that money come from?
Good question.
That money gets borrowed from Wall Street banks,
and
then they got to pay interest back to the banks. So Wall Street is making money on all of these killings.
Well, you know what? That's cool too. In a way that now you see the pattern of who has whatever interest in making sure that money is approved to be borrowed too. You know what I'm saying? Because when you start
continuously flowing.
Yeah, meaning that there's a national interest even in local issues, even though national media in the past criticized President Obama for taking interest into Trayvon Martin and the other systemic police killings too. So when you see that national interest in it, that the money can flow all the way from Wall Street to whatever local community that's a local issue, really, you recognize how important that the national narrative is to some people at federal levels about police brutality.
Exactly.
So yeah, it goes to show you that it's either a deliberate effort to maintain that level of influence, or it's just the cost of doing business for them, because it's not like at this point that somebody has to come out and support your local police brutality, folks. They just say Blue Lives Matter now. You know what I'm saying? And back to blue.
The thing about it is we always say follow the money.
Yeah.
And we wonder why there's never any like legal reform and stuff like that. There's no legal reform. But you got to understand that some of these Wall Street interests, they're lobbying the government and stuff like that and paying these legal representatives in order to keep them silent. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
It's just a whole big circle that needs to be torn down one brick at a time.
Yeah. And then okay, so that's cool that we can recognize the problem. I think you and I have had enough conversations where we could see the pieces of this thing and how it lines up. And some people would think that we'd be crazy if we had some of our conversations that we've had one-on-one, in certain, rooms, I guess you could say, of who's paying attention. But it's just another indication, man, that you have a place, and everybody has a place, and some of us spin the wheel faster in one direction than the other, and that's the wheel that they keep pushing, you know what I'm saying? They keep turning, you know what I'm saying? They keep churning us out and chewing us up, and yet and still we have not figured out how to survive contact with law enforcement, you know what I'm saying, to get out of that wheel. Now I get it that in some cases where it's unavoidable, you live in certain, communities or whatever, you're gonna have a lot. I mean, it's gonna vary how you interact with police. Some of them are treating people like deer tags and going after them, and some are just really cool or just as motivated about doing their job as most people are about going to work every day. So it could be, it's all, I wouldn't say it's all environment dependent, because you still got individual choices for people that wear the badge. They have a
Right.
simple responsibility just to protect human life or just remotely give a damn, you know. But then some people, they look for it as an opportunity to get a piece of them back that got left in the trash can in high school, you know. So it's different layers to this. What else you got, man?
I think that touching on that, man, I think that you got some officers like I can remember, and I want to speak this piece kind of carefully, just because I respect service members, and you was a service member, I was a service member, and stuff like that. But I know that there's some people, some within the military that they're true patriots, and when they go overseas and stuff like that, they go over there to do their job. And I'm gonna tie this into the police officers out. And I know a lot of times they don't feel like they've done their job if they haven't had contact with the bad guys, and kind of like tag them one or two. I ain't never did that myself because I was calm. I was a father. But you know, you got some infantry that go out there. They're like, hey man, they did their job. They got they got a notch on their belt, whatever the case may be. And I genuinely feel that there are some police officers that go out there and they have that exact same mentality where it's them versus the population as opposed to them protecting the population. So you got like I saw a video not too long ago where the dude killed a guy, or he shot him. He didn't kill him. He shot the dude, and then he got a phone call and it was on body cam. He was like, "Yeah, man, I gotta go. I just shot somebody," and it was just so casual and nonchalant. You know what I'm saying? It was like there was like no kind of emotion to it whatsoever. It was just like I just shot somebody, so I gotta go real quick. You know what I mean? And I genuinely think that some of those police officers, they wake up with wanting to get that kill. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's sad to say, but I think that's what they, because I've had encounters with the police. I made a comment up above where I've had some semi-aggressive encounters with police. I've had some encounters with police that could have went real left. I had an encounter with the police on the highway one day, and they were changing the tire on the car, and they had the trunk of their car open with their AR in the back.
Yeah.
I'm a law-abiding citizen, but I'm still a freaking 240-pound black man, and I understood what their position was. They understood what my position was, and it was, we didn't have a negative encounter. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta let people do their job. I think sometimes I ain't gonna put the onus on us all the time. Sometimes we're at fault for escalating. Why are you stopping me? Why are you talking to me? Why are you doing it? Man, let the man do their job in some instances. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
go on about your way.
I think that's because you got a different understanding of who you are. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean is that when I said earlier about emboldening, people that are using misdirected anger and letting it cast them into situations where they are immediately at the tactical disadvantage. And so you can't reach them. They have to be reached through example, and they're already revolting against the example that was set by the cops in the first place, so you're trying to use anger to combat, raw emotion, and there's so many different layers to it. So that perspective that you just had was absolutely the perspective that you should have, if you are aware that you are at the immediate disadvantage. Who is empowering people to make them think that they have the advantage is part of the problem. You see what I'm saying? Like you and I, speaking from certain backgrounds, as being in the Army, having other military friends across multiple branches, being well traveled, understanding that everybody's not going to see you the same way the last place you left saw you. So we instantly try to, not contribute to the escalation of the situation. Sometimes we can't control that though. Like not saying right. That, like sometimes if you get one of them officers like you was talking about that's leaving with the deer catching mentality, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna find a way to escalate it into a resisting arrest or disorderly conduct or whatever, bland charge that they can try to slap on you just so you can be inconvenienced in a legal situation by somebody that's not an interpreter of the law, but an enforcer of a law that they don't completely understand.
Right.
So there's too many different layers to try to get people to understand in one whop. You know, like you're gonna lose if if winning. What does winning look like? You know what I'm saying in that situation? If you at the if you're on the the target end of an officer in an encounter with law enforcement, right? You got to find a way to survive contact. I mean, and understand this: we live in a society that supports, well, not even supports, where the untrained individual is expected to know what to do every time, while the trained individual gets to goof up on what they've been trained on. So more training is the answer. Correct. Yeah. I forgot step 5. Pull the gun. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it might be. Then we'll sort it out later on. Write some paperwork, send some regrets, whatever, But they get to take an easy administrative way about that, I don't know, man. It's just an uphill battle, and we have to look at it as at what point how do we fight this a different way, I mean, plenty of riots happen in every decade, behind everything that was justified too, going back to riots, protests. You may not like the target of it or how it looks or whatever, but let's not forget what caused this, and that always gets muddled. And then the next thing you've given the mainstream media another narrative that keeps theirs going without us having to do much more but sit there and can't apologize for it,
Yep, you're right about that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it though, man, but I think, man, it's about time for me to hang it up for the night. And I enjoyed catching up with you guys, and I need to do this a little bit more often. Probably getting to that point soon. And
yes, sir.
I'm gonna probably wind up posting this up on YouTube, man. If y'all will, make sure you check the caption, you know what I'm saying, so you can get my book, and then buy one and another one for someone else that you care enough about. And we'll go from there. And I'll catch up with y'all the next time.
All right. Have a good one. Appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, bro.